Hey there, my friend. I'm thrilled you found your way to my channel. If it's your first time here, hit that subscribe button and share this video with someone you care about. It truly supports the channel. Let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I read and value every single one. Now, let's jump in. My name is Ryan Collins, and I'm 34. Until recently, I believed I was just weeks away from marrying the woman I thought would be by my side for life. Her name was Julia. We'd been together for 4 years, introduced through mutual friends, and our bond formed quickly. Within 12 months, we had moved in together. She had a quiet, effortless beauty and carried herself with intelligence and charm. My proposal to her was understated, just the two of us in the same park where we had our first date. She cried and said yes. From that point on, everything seemed to fall into place. We secured a venue, scheduled dress fittings, tasted food options, and even bickered over the guest list, typical pre-wedding stuff. But then, exactly 3 weeks before the ceremony, something in her demeanor began to shift. It started with small things. She was constantly on her phone, and our conversations grew brief and occasionally tense. I assumed the wedding stress was wearing on her, but then the late nights at the office became more frequent. Always another deadline, always some urgent task. One evening, she left her phone on the sofa while she went to the kitchen. A message popped up from someone named Caleb. Same time tomorrow? Can't stop thinking about last night. That one sentence was all it took. I didn't say anything. I quietly closed the message, put her phone back where she left it, and stayed silent. When she returned and caught my eye, she smiled and asked, "What is it?" I looked at her and said, "Nothing." I had never heard her mention anyone named Caleb before, not once as a friend or co-worker. But this Caleb certainly remembered the night before, and our wedding was 21 days away. I didn't explode, I didn't accuse, I pulled back instead. My job has taught me that reacting without proof can be a mistake. What I needed now was clarity. Julia told me she had a dress fitting that Thursday evening. I offered to go with her. She quickly dismissed it. "No, it's just the girls. You'd be bored." She left in a rush, dressed too elegantly for a fitting. It felt off. I contacted Gavin, an old friend of ours who worked in the event scene. He always had the inside scoop on what was happening around town, whether it was bars, lounges, or private gatherings. If there was movement, Gavin was close to it. I kept the message casual. "Hey, random question. Do you know any guy named Caleb who's connected to Julia?" He answered fast. "Caleb Pierce? Tall, shaved head, works in property management?" The name didn't mean anything to me. I replied vaguely, just trying to sort something out. Then another message. "Saw them at Atlas Rooftop last week. Looked intimate." That's when the uncertainty stopped. I responded, "If you see them again, grab a picture. Be subtle." 2 nights later, Gavin delivered. He sent a photo of Julia sitting across from a man in a gray blazer, the two of them bathed in candlelight. They weren't speaking. She was smiling, and his hand rested on her knee. I stared at that photo for a long while. What I felt wasn't anger. It was a hollow quiet. Julia got home late that night and mentioned bad traffic. "You okay?" she asked, taking off her shoes. "Yeah," I said. "Just a long day." I wasn't probing anymore. I was collecting information. By the weekend, I had already made up my mind. No confrontation. Not yet. I didn't want her tears or apologies or some half-hearted excuse. I wanted certainty. Julia behaved like nothing was wrong. Sunday morning, she made pancakes and scrolled through her phone, chuckling at something she read. She was good at pretending, but I was done being naive. That afternoon, I called my cousin Laura. She wasn't in law enforcement, but she'd done surveillance work, tracking cheating partners and digging through shady finances. These days, she freelanced for attorneys. Julia had told me she was meeting her friend Amanda on Tuesday to finalize wedding decor. I didn't buy it. I briefed Laura, gave her Julia's license plate, usual schedule, and the name Caleb Pierce. If Julia went where she claimed she would, fine. But if not, I needed to know. Laura didn't ask questions. I'll handle it, she said. Tuesday came. Julia wore a new top and sprayed perfume before heading out. Might hit that new wine bar after, she mentioned. I said nothing, just waited. Around 9:45 p.m., Laura called. She never met Amanda, she said. She went straight to a condo building on Western Avenue, used the underground parking. The place is registered to Caleb Pierce. She went inside at 7:12, came out just now, alone. I didn't speak. I closed my eyes. She was there nearly 3 hours, Laura added. Want the pictures? Send everything, I told her. She did. Clear photos with timestamps. Julia walking into Caleb's building. Hair slightly messy, makeup touched up. There was even a short video of her entering the lobby. No mistaking who she was seeing or where she'd gone. When Julia walked in later that night, she looked surprised to find me still up. Didn't expect you to wait, she said. Just wanted to see your face, I replied. She smiled. Amanda says hi. I didn't say a word. What I felt wasn't fury, it was finality. My next move was already decided. I gave it 2 more days. I needed to know if she'd lie again, even while looking directly at me. On Thursday, she mentioned doing a walkthrough with the florist at the venue. I nodded. Cool. Want me to tag along? She paused for a moment, then dismissed it with a shrug. Just some boring visuals. You'd hate it. I watched her step out. Same routine, same urgency. Far too overdressed for a run to a flower shop. I didn't follow, but Laura did. I'd tipped her off that morning, where Julia claimed she was headed, what time she planned to leave, just like the times before. That evening, when Julia returned home, I was seated at the kitchen table with my laptop open in front of me. She dropped her purse and slipped off her heels. No dinner tonight? She asked. I had a rough one, I said quietly. She leaned in to kiss me, but I didn't move. She stopped, frozen mid-gesture. What's going on? She asked, hesitantly. I turned the laptop so she could see the screen. A paused video showed Julia walking into Caleb's condo. Her expression flickered with confusion. What is that? Tuesday night, I answered. You were there for 3 hours. She visibly tensed. Ryan, let me explain. Go ahead. She opened her mouth, hesitated, then finally said, It's not what it looks like. You've lied, over and over. First it was girls' night, then it was Amanda, then it was wedding errands. How many opportunities did I give you to tell the truth? She lowered herself into the chair across from me, her face pale and stricken. I never wanted to hurt you. Caleb, he's someone I dated before you and I got serious. He reached out again. He's not doing well, emotionally, mentally. I didn't know how to tell you. I thought I could help him. Quietly. That explanation landed harder than I expected. She wasn't even trying to deny what had happened, just wrapping it in pity, painting herself as the benevolent ex, quietly doing good. But she had lied, again and again, and now she was trying to make it sound noble. You went there, in secret, for 3 hours, and more than once, I said flatly. She looked away. It got messy. I didn't want it to turn into something bigger. I figured if I just gave him some support, it'd blow over. I didn't say anything. I didn't buy it. Not entirely. But I didn't argue. Not yet. Because I wasn't done. I wasn't looking for her reasons. I wasn't there for reconciliation. I was holding on to the truth, for when it would hit hardest, on our wedding day. So I stood up and left the room. I didn't cancel anything. I think that's what unsettled her the most. The next morning, Julia stayed home. She drifted around the apartment, clearly anticipating a fight, but I offered her none. I moved to the guest room. No confrontation, no explanations, only silence. When her maid of honor messaged me to confirm the DJ change, I replied casually, When her mother called to ask about the head count, I told her everything was fine. I wasn't going to shield Julia from what she'd done. It wasn't about emotion anymore. It was about truth. 2 days before the ceremony, I got undeniable confirmation. She was in the shower, and her phone lit up on the nightstand. I glanced at the screen. A message from Caleb. Still shocked he bought the mental health thing. I just stared at it. They thought I hadn't figured it out, that I was oblivious. But I'd known. I just hadn't acted. Another message came seconds later. Sunday morning still good? One last time. She had plans to meet him on the morning of our wedding, even after everything, even after pretending it was about kindness. That sealed it. I didn't confront her again. I didn't need to. I snapped photos of the messages and sent them to Laura, asked her to verify it. That Sunday, Laura parked across from Caleb's building. At 8:12 a.m., Julia arrived, hairstyled, makeup flawless. She walked in, stayed for 48 minutes. When she exited, Caleb came out with her. They exchanged a few words, then kissed, quick, routine, like it was perfectly normal. Laura caught the moment just before they separated. Julia turned and walked away smiling, as though none of it mattered. By noon, Laura had sent me the time-stamped video. Gavin, my best man, had it all loaded onto a USB drive. Everything was in place. The venue was stunning, something straight out of a bridal magazine. Around 150 guests, most of them her friends and family. Gavin found me near the back and quietly pulled me aside. He didn't have to say a word. I gave a nod. He tapped the inside of his jacket where the USB was securely stored. The truth was ready. All I had to do was unleash it. Julia's father approached me with a big smile. Nervous? Ready to be a married man? Absolutely, I answered. The music began. Bridesmaids made their way down the aisle. Then Julia appeared. Her dress was perfect, her smile confident, her eyes locked on mine as if nothing had unraveled between us. She stepped up beside me. I took her hand. The officiant opened with a few light-hearted comments, then turned to me. Ryan Collins, do you take Julia Allen to be your lawfully wedded wife? I don't, I said calmly. Julia blinked in disbelief. What? I let go of her hand and turned to the audience. She spent this morning with her ex, walked out of his place less than 8 hours ago. A collective gasp echoed through the room. Her mother's hands flew to her mouth. Her father's face froze. Guests began whispering to each other in stunned voices. Julia's face turned ghostly pale. Ryan, please. But I said nothing. There would be no more second chances. Not this time. Not ever. I raised my arm, prompting Gavin to step aside and insert the USB drive into the projector. The venue team had assumed it would be a sentimental slideshow, perhaps a walk through our relationship or highlights from our engagement. Instead, the screen lit up with surveillance footage showing Julia entering Caleb's apartment building earlier that same morning, still dressed in the outfit she wore for the wedding preparations. The timestamp was clear and irrefutable. A heavy silence swept over the room. All attention shifted to the screen. Then the next still appeared. Julia outside the same building, her palm pressed to Caleb's chest, his hand resting at her waist as they kissed. I turned to her and said, calm and steady, I'm not angry, I'm just finished. Without waiting for a response, I walked away, right there, in front of everyone. No shouting, no spectacle. But the stunned quiet that followed was more deafening than any outburst. The drive back home was silent. My phone, however, was not. Julia was the first to call, then her mother, then one of the bridesmaids. I didn't take any of the calls. Eventually, I shut the phone off and left it on the kitchen counter. By the following morning, word had spread like wildfire. A few close friends reached out to check on me. Nina, one of the bridesmaids, sent me a private message. I had no idea. I'm so sorry. You didn't deserve this. Apparently, Julia had already started reshaping the story, telling people I'd panicked and walked away at the last second. Then Gavin uploaded the images. Just the two. No commentary, no dramatics. But it was enough. The truth didn't need defending. By the middle of the week, even those who had stood firmly behind her had gone quiet. Word got around that Caleb had vanished, deleted his social media, disappeared on a business trip, and never returned. Thursday brought another message from Julia. "Ryan, please. Just one talk. Let me explain." I never replied. That Friday night she showed up at my apartment. She looked worn down, dark circles under her eyes, hair gathered hastily into a bun. When I opened the door, she wouldn't quite meet my gaze. "Can I come in?" she asked quietly. "No. I need to apologize." I stayed in the doorway, blocking her path. She shifted uneasily, like someone expecting punishment. "I know I destroyed everything," she murmured. "I'm not here to ask for forgiveness. I was scared. Caleb wasn't supposed to mean anything. It just happened. I wasn't thinking—" "You mean you didn't think you'd get caught?" I interrupted. Her lips moved, but nothing came out. "I gave you every opportunity to be honest. You made your decision." She looked down. "So that's it?" "That's it." She hesitated for a moment longer, searching my face for something that no longer existed, then turned and walked away. I shut the door behind her without feeling a thing. Days turned into a week, then two, and finally, there was quiet. No more messages, no more calls, no unexpected knocks. Whether she finally accepted the truth or simply got tired of being ignored, I didn't care. It was over. The apartment felt different now, still and peaceful, but not in a way that stung. I slowly packed up what she'd left behind and had it removed. No arguments. I changed the locks. At one point, her mother reached out to mine, asking for answers. My mother ended the call quickly. I never asked what was said. I began stepping out more, joined a gym, met up with friends I hadn't seen during the wedding frenzy. Oddly enough, the wreckage left behind turned out to be the reset I never knew I needed. People love to dramatize heartbreak, paint it as a tidal wave of agony. And sure, at first it knocks the wind out of you. But once the storm passes, what remains isn't sorrow, it's clarity. The life I thought Julia and I were creating, it was never real. But what came next? That was. They say the hardest thing is walking away. It's not. The true damage comes from staying. Staying with someone who lies without shame, who thinks you'll just ignore it, bury the truth, and pretend nothing happened. I didn't stay. She counted on my silence, assumed I'd be too embarrassed to speak up, thought I'd go through with the wedding anyway. She was wrong. I didn't lose a partner that day. I lost the illusion of one. And to be honest, that was the most liberating thing that could have happened. This story has come to an end. What's your opinion? Share it in the comments, my friend. And if you like this story, check out other exciting videos on my channel. I'll say goodbye until the next video. See you.